Welcome to Up Level, Real Health, Real Talk with Dr. Jenna Blasi. I'm Dr. Jenna. I spent years crafting ways to help women thrive, and I want to help you do the same. On this podcast, we dive deep into health at every level, focusing on the mind, the body, and the spirit. This is where real conversations meet transformational wellness. We'll be talking about all the things that truly matter, from nutrition and fitness to lifestyle, mindset, and personal development. Plus, the real deal on managing stress and navigating menopause. So if you're ready to elevate your health journey with authentic, transformative insights, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Up Level. Today, we are going to bring our whole metabolism month together and talk about how to support your metabolism at any age. What actually works long term. So I really hope that this will be a practical integration episode, and we're going to break it up into several segments. So over the past few weeks, we have been talking about metabolism from several different angles. We've looked at your appetite signaling. We've talked about GLP-1, quote unquote, medications. And we've talked about why weight loss isn't always the same thing as metabolic health. But what actually supports our metabolism long term? I think we know it's not the quick fixes. It's not the trends. It's the things that consistently, or what are the things, I guess I would say, what are the things that consistently help the body regulate energy, hormones, and resilience over time? That is not going to be the trends. It's not going to be the quick fixes. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Number one, broken record here. Muscle is the foundation of your metabolic health. Period, or exclamation point. All right. Muscle is one of the most metabolically active tissues in your body. So it plays a very, very major role in your glucose or blood sugar regulation, your insulin sensitivity, your metabolic flexibility, and your resilience for aging. This is why strength training and adequate protein are foundational. We're not building muscle without strength training. We're not building muscle without adequate protein. So looking at muscle protects metabolism during weight loss or weight. I don't like that word loss, but in this context, yes. Okay, so it's going to protect your metabolism as you're releasing weight. It is going to support long-term metabolic stability, and it becomes increasingly important with aging. All right, as we age, our muscle becomes more and more important. It's protecting us in so many ways for our bones, for our health. We could probably talk about muscle and protein and strength training for a whole episode. In fact, not probably, I know we could, but breaking this into segments. So second, and these are not necessarily in order. I have to think about that. I didn't put them in order, but muscle is definitely at the top. Blood sugar stability. Metabolism functions best when glucose signals are stable. Your metabolism functions best when your blood sugar and your blood sugar signaling are stable. So chronic blood sugar swings can create fatigue, hunger urgency, mood volatility, increased fat storage signals. It affects, for those of you still menstruating, your periods and the amount of PMS and how well you tolerate pain. So many factors. So supportive habits for your blood sugar are nutrient-dense meals and consistent meal timing, right? Nutrient-dense meals at consistent intervals over time. Protein at every meal, 30 to 40 grams of protein at every meal. Movement after eating has a huge impact on regulating blood sugar and improving your insulin sensitivity. So these are simple things that you can implement, and obviously minimizing the amount of simple carbohydrates and quick sugar that your body's getting. That's one of the reasons that hypoglycemia can turn into diabetes, because you think, I have low blood sugar. You have low blood sugar, then you reach for that quick fix. You reach for sugar, the blood sugar shoots up, your pancreas secretes more insulin, drops it down, then you're shaking again, then you need more. And that up and down, that volatility is decreasing your function over time. All right. 3, sleep. Sleep is huge for metabolic regulation. Sleep strongly influences your insulin sensitivity. And look, insulin resistance is a huge issue. I was talking about blood sugar volatility, but your insulin sensitivity is really important. So once you're starting to have belly fat, once that insulin is creeping up, I mean, I see people where their insulin is 2, 3, 4 times what's optimal. We have metabolic chaos going on in our bodies that's really detrimental to our long-term health, our longevity, our cardiovascular risk, etc. So sleep greatly affects your insulin sensitivity, your hunger hormones, your ghrelin and your leptin, appetite signaling, and cortisol regulation. So we talked about this in the other episodes. When you look at, and we're going to talk about this again in a few lines down when we get to the gut, but this is deeply important. Sleep restoration, I cannot stress enough, for all of the hormone balance. All of the hormone balance. Your insulin, your hunger hormones, your cortisol, etc. So if you have chronic sleep disruption, this will often lead to increased hunger. And in other episodes, because I have at least 1, if not 2 episodes on sleep, poorer choices, right? When we have increased hunger, we don't make as healthy of choices. It's going to lead to reduced metabolic flexibility. I talked about my Oura ring last week. That's why I like looking at my heart rate variability and my resilience and how is my recovery doing over time, right? Not just a snapshot, but trends. And chronic sleep disruption will lead to higher inflammation. Chronic sleep disruption also makes it a lot harder to release weight, and the more fat on your body, the more inflammation you will have as well. So you can see where it's a vicious cycle. Improving sleep could be one of the most underrated metabolic interventions. We've got to sleep, and we have to stop justifying burning the candle on both ends and not getting enough sleep and doom scrolling right until bed and not dialing in these habits. All right, so if sleep is a big one for you, go listen to my episode or episodes on sleep. And I will tell my team to link those in the show notes. Stress and the nervous system. All right, got episodes on that as well. The nervous system influences metabolism more than people realize. That's why I've spent a whole episode talking about nervous system regulation. Stress, we've heard it called the silent killer. Chronic stress can lead to increased cortisol, glucose volatility. So you can see how these are all tied in together, right? We're going back to that glucose and blood sugar stabilization. So chronic stress leads to elevated cortisol, glucose volatility, inflammation, and disrupted appetite signaling. We can see how each of these things I'm breaking down, we are complex human beings. We are not one system organisms. And so these hormones, these inflammatory processes are linked with many different aspects. So metabolic health, particularly long-term, requires periods of safety, feeling safe physiologically, mentally, emotionally. It's not just about constant output, go, 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 do. I was just reviewing in one of my mindset programs. I'm teaching from the Science of Getting Rich right now, and this week we're doing efficient action. And when Wallace Wattles talks about efficient action, and going back to the way both Wattles talks about it, Earl Nightingale talked about, efficient action is the opposite of what most of us think. Like, we think efficiency is like produce, just doing all these things all day long and just being busy. So many of us are busy. That's why I changed my verbiage years ago to saying, like, life is full. I don't like busy. It feels like I've just stuffed my schedule with a bunch of things out of my control. No, it's full, and I get to choose the way I manage my activities. That's what Earl Nightingale used to talk about. We can't manage time. Time management is not a real thing, but activity management is what we can do. And so efficient action is with purpose, with faith, with focus, not just running around like chickens with our heads cut off doing lots of things. So when I think about, in this context, physiological safety versus constant output, we go, 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 or we can actually be efficient. All right. When there's a captain of a ship and something terrible has happened, they are calm, they are efficient because they're focused, they're directed, and they're calm. We do not want our captain coming on the loudspeaker on a plane going, oh my gosh, we're going to hit turbulence. Okay, I'm going to do this and this and this and try to control it, and all this frantic energy. That would not feel reassuring, right? But they're calm and they're going to be focused and efficient. So supporting your stress, supporting your nervous system includes recovery. Different phases of life require different things, and every week, every day, you should have recovery built in. All right. It includes boundaries around your work hour, boundaries around your screen time, boundaries with your relationships, when you say yes, when you say no. It also includes movement. But again, not constant input if all you did was hit, training for a marathon. No, we need that recovery as well. So movement, time outdoors. Time outdoors is so important. Time in nature, resetting that circadian rhythm, getting that morning sunlight every day, getting some afternoon, getting your sunlight, getting some afternoon, get yourself some afternoon, getting yourself fresh air and sunlight, or, at the very least fresh air if you live in a place that doesn't have a lot of sun, getting in nature in the afternoon, just regularly. Nervous system regulation, focusing on what that means for you. All right. Number 5, gut hormone connection. This is a big one. The gut there are so many hormones that initiate in our GI system. So it plays an important role in hormone signaling, in immune regulation, in your mood. So up to like 80% of the immune system housed in the gut, which is why when people are addressing their allergies, when I work with people on their allergies, let's address the gut. Everybody wants to do all this fancy food sensitivity testing. Our bodies are reactive. How about we actually heal the source? First of all, those tests are not super accurate. They lead to just a whole bunch of restriction. Let's address the gut so we can tolerate more things. When we look at mood, and just backing up a moment, hormone signaling, we already talked about the appetite hormones and your GLPs, etc. So immune regulation, which affects autoimmune, it affects your thyroid, it affects your skin, it affects allergies, etc. Mood, 85 to up to 95% of your serotonin comes from your gut. Serotonin, that's your feel-good neurotransmitter. It's also a precursor to melatonin, which helps with your sleep. We're starting to see how everything is tied in. And so if your gut is disrupted, which by the way, for most of us, it is, if we've had stress, if we're on lots of medications, if we've had poor sleep for a long time, if we have gone through menopause, the microbiome changes. The gut is very, I don't want to say sensitive, because I think we can build up resilience in our guts, but these events have an impact. And so if you have leaky gut or intestinal hyperpermeability, which many people do, if you get bloating after meals, if you're sluggish after you eat, or need a nap every time you eat, we are looking at wanting to reset, repair, recover your foundation, which is your gut. And that is going to affect your metabolic communication. It is huge for your metabolism. Your gut is for inflammation, hormone signaling, immune regulation, mood, etc. And when we look at the hormones, I think there's like over 20 hormones or something that come from this system. But we talked about GLP-1 and GIP. Tirzepatide is GLP-1 and GIP. Both of those, gut. Peptide YY signals satiety, ghrelin, and more. Like there are so many. We have got to support our gut. So supporting your gut, what does that look like? Fiber, getting enough fiber, minimum of 25 grams a day. Plant diversity, tons of studies on being able to eat a variety of plants. Now I know there's people out there saying plants are bad for you, and there's this in plants that are bad, and there's that. The research doesn't support that, both like data as well as looking at blue zones and just it's been confirmed over and over again that the more diversity in the plant foods we're eating, the healthier and our systems tend to be and the more longevity. Now I'm going to talk about individualization at the end, but those that are needing to go on like complete elimination diets, such as carnivore, to feel well, that's not a long-term solution, in my opinion. Now, look, I'm open to my mind being changed over years. There's not many hills that I'm going to die on because I want to always be learning and accepting. But the research is pretty clear on plant diversity, on fiber, on fermented foods, on reducing ultra processed foods. I think that's one we can all agree on, right? Many of these, fad diets out there are successful because we're reducing ultra processed foods. Whole30, carnivore, keto, whatever. Vegan can go the other direction. So there's some good, there's some good research on being vegan, but a meat eater and a vegan can both be eating highly processed foods and they can both be doing it in a healthy way. Okay. But the truth is usually in the middle with more diversity, more balance. And, when I talk about individualization at the end, I know that there's always going to be outliers. And so the research has that bell curve. But the generalizations can guide us and then we find what works for us. So if we are talking supporting gut health in general for the majority of people, I really want to say if not all, because I do believe that this is, when we're in balance, this is actually true for all, but fiber, plant diversity can include fermented foods for your gut if you tolerate them, reducing ultra processed foods, all of that can support your metabolic signaling. There are other ways to help the gut. There are, of course, supplements that help your gut. There are different protocols for the gut, but looking back through what I've talked about, we all have to be working on building and maintaining muscle, balancing our blood sugar and our insulin, getting enough sleep, regulating our stress and our nervous system, and making sure our guts are functioning optimally. I think roughly 50% of the people that I see, like when they join us to work with us, they have reflux. Like so many people I talk to, almost over 50% have insulin resistance, if not more, or some type of blood sugar instability. I see sleep a lot. Like all of these things I see in the majority of people. But this absolutely can be turned around. So many people have reflux and they're on medications for them. And when we start resetting their system, optimizing their metabolism and resetting their gut, starting with, when I say optimizing metabolism, starting with gut health, starting with clearing out their system and getting it to function optimally, they come off those meds and their reflux is gone. So the gut is super important. So tying all these pieces together, we're looking at sustainable behaviors. That's what's going to win the race. Sustainable behaviors. If you're in it for a marathon, right? If you're in a marathon, you don't want to come out of the gates sprinting. You have to pace yourself. You know that you're running a marathon. It's not a relay, quick sprint race. Relay is probably not the right word. It's not a sprint. And so you have got to pace yourself. Sustainable behaviors for the win. All right. Short-term fixes. Occasionally, maybe we need to be a little more intense and do something a little, I was going to say more drastic, but I don't even think that's a good idea because drastic is not going to feel safe to the nervous system. So sustainable behaviors versus short-term fixes, this is where the win is for longevity. Metabolic health isn't about intensity. The most important factor in metabolic health is sustainability. So extreme strategies often lead to burnout, to metabolic stress, to rebound cycles. I have heard doctors, prominent doctors, talk about we just want to detox and redox and detox and redox. Why? Why is this? It kind of feeds into that all or nothing mentality. I'm going to just go hard and fast, and then I'll, do something really drastic, and I'll fast myself for a week on water, and then I'm going to go hard. And like, what is with these outrageous cycles? What about like 80-20? Let's just dial it in a sustainable way. We're not trying to be perfect. We're going to have those times when we go off the rails a little bit, but let's not go completely off. Let's stay on track for how we want to live and who we want to be. Long-term metabolic health is built through consistent behaviors. I have 2 months, scroll back through the episodes, and there's like a whole month of episodes dedicated to consistency and identity around consistency. So long-term metabolic health is built through consistency that the body interprets as safe and sustainable. If your behaviors are really erratic, your body's not going to feel safe. Think about being in a relationship with someone who's inconsistent, right? You have to walk on eggshells. You never know when they're going to be volatile. That's not safe, right? When they're super inconsistent and you never know what you're going to get, that doesn't feel safe. So if you, in your habits, are inconsistent and quick fixes and drastic things, that's why I'm no longer a fan of these super strict fasts. I mean, especially for women, but some of the research is even starting to show that what we thought was like going to bring these long-term benefits and trigger autophagy. I can talk today. I can. Autophagy, cell destruction of the bad cells to kind of clear out the system, can lead to greater inflammation long term. So this is an evolving understanding and research. But when you look at how you feel in your body, when we think about fasting, especially women, because our physiology is not the same, there's a contraction. We need to listen to that, all right? Metabolic health is built through long-term safety and sustainability, all right? So consistent behaviors that your nervous system, that your body deems as safe and sustainable. That is why we can be strict with anything. We can go hardcore. We can do anything for X amount of time, but are we going to swing the pendulum back the other way? That is the question. And usually the answer is yes. All right. So I've listed several pieces that go into long-term metabolic health, long-term setting yourself up for longevity. And some people like to say health span, but it's not years to our life. What does longevity mean to you? It's hopefully life to your years. And so this is where we can take all of these pieces and then we look at what is sustainable, what is safe, and what is effective, right? Because you could be doing something that's sustainable that's not working, right? That's like, I can only do this because it's easy and it's doable, but it's not working. How many of you are doing things that aren't working? Lots of you. I see so many people, they've seen all the doctors. They've seen all the doctors, all the practitioners, whether they're holistic or conventional or both. And they've tried all the things, they've tried the diets, they've tried different exercise. It's not working. And this is where individualization really matters. Individualization, and also how do we put it all together? All the information in the world doesn't lead to transformation. Most of us have plenty of information or access to plenty of information. It's how do we implement it? How do we implement it to actually get the results that we want in a sustainable way? Because one thing I say often in my talks is information without action is useless. It's like sitting at home, watching Jeopardy, you know all the answers and you're yelling them from your couch. If you want to win money, get on the show. I'm no good at Jeopardy, but it's that idea. You can collect information and listen to podcasts all day long. When are you going to start implementing? When are you going to really take action and put all of these things together? And I don't say this, I know that sounds like kind of blamey. I don't mean it that way. But if you're one of those people, and you know who you are, if you're one of those people that's just sitting at home taking notes all the time and not actually implementing, finding the right people to work with to take you to the next level, we have to get out of our comfort zone and do those things that are uncomfortable to get to a place where we're really thriving. So individualization is super important because, again, I can give you the guidelines and I can give you the research, but different people may need a different emphasis. Some need blood sugar regulation more than others. Some need muscle rebuilding. Some need sleep restoration. Some need hormonal support. Some need all of those pieces. And this is why metabolic care, it's not done in a vacuum. And it's best when it's individualized rather than a one size fits all. Everyone wants the Cliff Note version. Everyone wants to just tell me the things and I'm going to go do them. But many of you have done all the things and you're not getting where you want to go. You're still stuck. I mean, most of the people I've seen have already spent, most of the people that come to me for a visit have already spent thousands of dollars on different programs, different supplements, different whatever, and they're still stuck. I'm going to come back to this in a moment because the individualization piece is really important. You have different genetics. You have a different family history. You have a different personal medical history. You have different preferences, things you like, things you don't like, things that are, deal breakers for you. You have different stresses, different climates where you may live. And so when everybody just wants what do I do for this? And I see this even in my profession, in naturopathic medicine or functional medicine, take this for that, take this for that. Yeah, we can give you some great herbs and supplements that work, that are effective, that are research backed for a variety of conditions, but are we really still getting to the root cause? Or are we just treating downstream, giving you supplements that are not addressing the deeper part of the problem? Last week when I was talking about weight loss versus metabolic health, and I didn't put this into, what supports your health long term. And I actually want to add that, I went through blood sugar and muscle and all of those, but the tools do matter as well. Okay. So when I say some may need blood sugar regulation or muscle building or sleep support or nervous system support or hormonal support, that can look like long-term hormone therapy. That can look like long-term use of GLP-1s potentially. But all of that is very individual. What is right for you based on your weight, your body composition, your goals? I spend a lot of time talking to people about their goals because they are very different. Some people just want to, be able to get up and down off the floor with their kids or grandkids. And other people want to go hike Mount Everest. I don't actually work with anyone that wants to hike Mount Everest, but you get my point. And there's all the people in between. So individualized care based on so many factors. Where you are, right? How metabolically unhealthy are you? Are you right there? Like many of the menopausal women that I see who you have felt great for most of your life and then menopause hit and you just need a little extra support. We need to dial in and help the gut a little bit and get the body functioning optimally again? Or have you been neglecting your health for years, putting everybody else first and just stressed and working long hours or maybe working night shifts and there's complete metabolic chaos and we really need like an overhaul, if you will. And that shouldn't scare you. All right. Sometimes, you need mold remediation in your house, but it can get done. We can do the metabolic overhaul, but everybody's different in where they're starting, where they want to go, and then all of the individual pieces that make you you. And we look at all of those pieces when we work with people. So we have looked over the past several weeks at metabolism from several angles: medications, hormones, weight loss or releasing weight. But the core idea is simple. I hope you see a thread through this, that metabolic health isn't built through one intervention. Health isn't built through one intervention. It is built through a system of support that allows your body to regulate energy, repair, and become resilient over time. That is why I created the programs that I do in my practice. I don't do fee for service anymore, and I know that's not accessible to everyone. I know our what we do with people is not the cheapest option. It's not the easiest option in terms of I like to leave no boxes left unchecked. And so that's part of why I do these podcasts, to give you all as much usable information, to give you the tools to maybe go find a different practitioner so you know what to ask, so you come in informed, so you can help create health with someone. And why I try to direct you to where to start, pick a pillar, pick one aspect. But I stopped doing the way I used to practice before of just come in and see me and I evaluate your health and we spend a lot of time and then I give you some ideas and give you a protocol and then you go out and you try to implement it yourself. I did get good effects. I did. I got really good results. I didn't get what I considered the next level results that I'm getting now. Because a lot of us need support. We need that accountability built in, and the individuality that I find that I'm able to do when I hold people in a structure and help people look at their metabolism more holistically so that they have the support to actually implement all of the various information. And it includes education. I'm really big on education because otherwise you don't have a system. You're just doing what somebody else tells you to do. You're not learning how to care for yourself. I mean, I still work with experts to help me fine tune. I believe in mentorship. I believe in having those people, but it should be empowering along the way. We should be learning and getting more and more empowered. And when we're chasing quick fixes, that's not empowering, and it doesn't usually lead to good long-term results by any means. So I will close with that and assure you that when your system is supported, the body finds its way back. So you're not lost. You might feel lost, you might feel broken, but you can find your way back. And I hope this helps you begin your journey to whether you feel very lost in the woods or whether you're like, the light is right there. You're so close. You were there and you just need a little help, dialing it in. You absolutely can find your way back to balance, back to thriving. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Up Level, Real Health, Real Talk. I hope today's conversation inspired you to take the next step in your health journey, one that nourishes not just your body, but your mind and spirit as well. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's episode, please leave a review. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep thriving. And remember, true wellness is a journey, and you are on the right path.